Well, I am back with Misty Urban, who just read us a sample from Miss Gregoire's Beginning. A beautiful sample. You mentioned, as you were setting it up, that you had this character, Olympe Gregoire, in your work already, and you'd kind of been wondering, what's her deal? And so I'm curious because this scene is so vivid and so beautiful as almost literally a death and a rebirth scene to begin her life again. How much of her story did you already have in you? And did you already know that this was where the story started?
Oh, this is a fun question. So I knew these things going in. Her name was not Gregoire. She'll acquire that. This is why it's her beginning. And she has jewels sewn into her skirts. That's why they're especially heavy. There are hints throughout that, she's really attached to this lavender petticoat. She won't let it out of her sight. She's stolen the family jewels. And that was all I knew. And that she would start this school. And she'd become a mentor, I hope, to lots of young women. So when I began with the romance, I thought, okay, so who is the match for this woman? And because we're talking about suffragettes and because she's always been Miss Gregoire, I knew, spoiler alert, this isn't going to end in a conventional marriage, at least not where she takes his name and she lives with him because she has this really important job. So I started with knowing she was on the run from something. And I knew I had to end with her starting the school. That was what I wanted. But where he fit in, I had no idea. So I thought, well, what's a good romantic meet cute for somebody who, has just. I have this fascination with the Lady of the Lake with water women. Just
Hmm.
it seemed to work this motif into my stories a lot. So for some reason, when I thought about how she made it to England, it was not just casually sailing on a ship. I wanted her to be this almost, like you said, a complete rebirth. She's lost everything except what she's wearing, and she comes out of the water and she has to start brand new. And there he is. And I had a little bit of fun with that image that she thinks, oh, you look exactly like an angel, even though, he's far from it.
Yeah, no, I love it. And for me, a 90s Disney kid, it's imprinted Little Mermaid for me. So a very epic meet cute.
That's probably deeply behind my inspiration. And also, I get to say this in the author's note. She's washed up in Lyme Regis, which in a few years will be the site where Mary Anning is finding her fossils. She's washed up on what is now the Jurassic Beach with these amazing little fossils all over the rocky beach, all over these cliffs. It's an extremely dramatic scenery. And I just threw her right in there. So that was really fun too, to work in
I
a
love
little
that.
bit of history even though I couldn't say anything about Mary Anning because she's not even born yet.
At what point did you discover that historical tidbit to work it in? Did you know that before you started writing the scene?
Mary Anning came up in my research for the very first historical romance I wrote, and it's not published yet. This is about a mathematician. So I was researching scientific women of the early 19th century. And so, of course, Mary Anning came up, mother of geology. She's finding all these fossils. And what fascinates me is that this is a time where it's still accepted that there was a flood, that the earth is 6,000 years old. Like this is still common in the scientific community. And Mary is saying, but look, there's all these interesting little creatures. What if there's some other explanation? And it takes Darwin and it takes his fellows and it takes evolution to find a place for them. But initially, she sort of scoffed at. They're like, oh, that cute little Mary Anning playing with her stones. And she's found something profound. She's invented a whole discipline. She's rearranging the history of the known world. So that it added so much context and interest to my story. I wanted her to wash up on a beach. Plymouth was a very active port during this time. And then that whole dramatic sweep around Lyme Regis, around the island of Portland, which will come up later, is just really interesting too, with myths of mermaids. So that fit right in.